Welcome to a special edition of It's All Relative. I'm Josh, and today I'm joined by the two hosts of the Whatnot podcast. We'll hear about what their show is all about and why they started it. We'll hear about some of their inspirations that have led them into getting into podcasting. And we'll talk about college experiences that will one day turn into the glory days. So you guys already know what to do. Press play, turn it up, and let's get it rolling with an all-new episode right here on the It's All Relative podcast. I hope all you listeners out there are doing well. For those that may be struggling, just a quick reminder or a little inspiration. Don't give up. Keep pushing. And in the words from the great Tupac Shakur, I know it seems hard sometimes, but remember one thing. Through every dark night, there's a bright day after that. Before I get my guests on, I just wanted to say that today's show is uniquely special for me, and it's because of the relationship I share with my guests. One more so in particular, but nothing but love on today's show. The hosts of the Whatnot podcast, welcome to the show. First, James McGuire.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And my stepson, Baylee Forrest.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, bud. So, thank you both for joining me today. Let's talk a little about the podcast game, all right? You both are the hosts of your own show. So, talk to me, talk to my listeners. Tell us a little about your show.
So I guess where do we start? The beginning?
Yeah, obviously.
So, basically, Baylee and I, we both like to talk, and from an outsider's perspective, I think our conversations are usually entertaining to others, like they're just eavesdropping or whatever. So we decided, why not just record it and see where it goes? So that's pretty much what we do.
Yeah. Usually, I think we were just gaming one night, and we had this outlandish conversation, and we just at the same time just both decided what if we actually just do something with this? What if we just make a podcast instead of just gaming on our free time all day?
Yeah.
Just whip up a couple episodes and
talk about what we like talking about: sports, music, gaming, and then wherever it goes, it goes.
Yep, that's how it starts. That's how the idea of podcasting started. I feel like there's millions of podcasts currently. So, was there anything in particular that got you guys into the idea of podcasting?
it was definitely the fact that you had a podcast.
Yeah.
I listened to podcasts before, but it wasn't I didn't listen to them a lot, but when you started yours, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Around there?
Yeah, a little over 2 years now.
Yeah, so when you started that, I really got into podcasts and listened to podcasts. So definitely a massive inspiration was your show.
Yeah, and I think I remember when podcasts in general weren't in, so to speak. They just came out of nowhere, and everybody started listening to them.
Yep.
And then you made yours, and I think both of us saw how, I don't want to say how easy it is to start one, but how more practical it is now, and it's not too hard to start it up. And then we got some ideas together, and then just started rolling with it.
That's awesome. Well, first, I appreciate the love, and I'm glad that I could be a little inspiration towards your guys' start of your journey. Let me ask you both then, is there anything in particular that you have learned or realized about the whole podcasting procedure or form thus far?
I guess the biggest thing I learned, and I'm sure you probably agree, is just the concept of what you say is always on the internet, and that reflects your image.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Making sure you have topics you want to talk about, and trying to avoid topics you don't want to talk about is bigger than I honestly kind of thought it was. Mm-hmm. As I don't know, conversations happen, but at the same time, they have to be guided in a way that has to be like good to the show and not stir up any issues.
Yeah. With that said, I think before we even recorded our first episode, I think we both wanted it to be very like flowing. Like we don't really want to have a plan. We just want to talk like very organically, like we would like just casually, not being recorded. But then we realized, we can't really do that. It's better to have a plan. Like that way you have an idea of where you want it to go and stay on topic with what you want the show to be.
Right.
But yeah.
You got to have a small outline or somewhat of an idea or direction that you want to go. Otherwise, like you said, it could just go a little crazy. What about, let me ask you guys, anything that you guys have struggled with or realized? What about one of the things that I realized when I started this was how much time consuming it is. Have you guys seen that yet or faced that?
Yeah, we definitely have a little bit. I think the easy part is what we're doing right now, just talking. But it's everything that comes before and after that is what is the time consuming part, like editing. I haven't had much experience with it, but I know you and Ty both have, like with editing our shows, and that takes a few hours and the planning and stuff. But it is more than we expected.
Right. One thing that a lot of people don't realize, and after they've either tried to start one, been a part of a show, anything, they realize that it is a lot harder than it looks. It's more than just being able to just talk. There's a lot of things that you got to do that's behind the camera. But let me ask you both then, what's one thing about podcasting that you've enjoyed the most?
Just being able to talk, get our ideas out there, have a small community. Like obviously we just started, we only have 2 episodes dropped. But our community has been like so supportive as of like right now, and it's like it's overwhelming, but like that's great.
Yeah, I think it's just cool. Like we both like talking, like we said a million times, and it's just cool like that other people get to hear us. And like Baylee said, it's just nice to see our show that we didn't expect to like get as many followers as it has so far, and to see those people reply and leave feedback, and it's all positive so far. So it just really, I think it really warms the heart and stuff. It's just nice.
That's cool. Eventually, you guys will get some haters.
Yeah, eventually.
It happens. It comes with the game. But let me see. All right, we can move on from that. Let me ask you both. One thing that stands out about the two of you currently is that you both are in the process of living in what one day will be looked back on as some of the greatest days of your lives. Now, you both are sophomores in college. I will say, we talked about this right before the show, you two are the youngest guests I have ever had on my show. But sophomores in college. James, what school do you attend?
I go to the Rochester Institute of Technology up in Rochester, New York.
And Bay?
I go to Siena College in Albany, New York.
Nice.
Loudonville.
Yeah.
Technically.
Okay. So for me and the majority of all my listeners, this may be somewhat nostalgic because it may bring back, memories from our college days. But I want to ask you both a few questions involving your college careers so far. You guys can be as detailed as you'd like. Don't be embarrassed. You can be as honest as you want. Your guys' call. But first, let me ask each of you individually. What has been the most satisfying thing that you've learned about yourself while being away at school?
Wow. That's a hard question. I think it was unexpected, but I think it's really cool. Like being away from home really gives you the opportunity to like learn more about yourself. So I think I've grown more as a person, and I've really been able to like solidify my interests and stuff, and I really know what I want to do with my life and stuff. And it also, how do I want to say it? I think I am more appreciative of like just more stuff in general. Not that I wasn't before, but like especially I really appreciate my family a lot more and everything they've done for me in the past. And it's just cool to like be able to look back in hindsight on certain things that have happened in my life. But yeah, I think I've grown more as a person. That's the most satisfying.
Nice. What about you, Bay?
I definitely have to agree with like everything you just said. Another big thing would be like, this is like my first experience, and this is your first experience actually like living on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And you're further away from home than I am, but I'm still far enough away where I still don't see my family for over a month at a time.
Yeah.
And, you know, just growing and learning how to live on your own and how to navigate the world without your parents for the first time is such a massive learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm doing it pretty good. You know, I haven't ran into any issues, so I think that's a big, probably one of the bigger positives since I've moved away to college.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's an exciting first step, you know, for you guys. You guys are both young men, young adults, you know, and you guys are learning how to navigate through the world on your own, which sometimes can be a little scary in the beginning. But so let me ask you then, so far in your guys' college career, give me your best memory.
Best memory?
Thus far.
If you want to go first, I need a second to think.
Yeah, no, it's on the spot. It's a hard question.
Yeah.
A big memory for me would definitely be last year, my freshman year. My old roommate, Matt, I was still living with him. And this was the first time we hung out with my current roommate, Chris. Or this is the first like main time that we like went out and did something. But so we went to a Siena basketball game. And Siena's D1, so they play some bigger schools, and they play inside of Albany. So you have to take a bus. It's this whole process. And I remember I shotgunned a couple beers before I left, and I got pretty plastered. But yeah, no, it was a hell of a game. They were babysitting me the whole time. It was interesting, but that's probably one of my like top memories as of right now that I can think of.
Yeah, college sporting events are always fun. They can get a little crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's also, how you had mentioned, Bay, your, roommates and whatnot. Sometimes your roommates, friends that you make while you guys are in college and whatnot, they can be, a lot of them are life friends forever. You know what I'm saying? The relationships that you guys are making, could turn out to be some of the best ones. Yeah. But what about you, James? Give me one of your best college memories so far.
So I mean, I have a lot of memories. I don't know which one's my favorite, but off the top of my head, I think one of the biggest was meeting my roommates for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I moved in August. That's when school started. But I knew who I was rooming with since like the March prior.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was like this whole big Facebook group for the class, the incoming freshman class. So I got added to that, and then from there I got added to like a Snapchat group chat with like 20 people in it. So we were all just talking and gelling or whatever. And then one of the guys approached me. He's like, "Hey, what do you feel about rooming together?" I was like, "Sure." And then that happened 2 more times. So we just created a quad. And then, from then on we would like text, game on Xbox and stuff. And then meeting them for the first time was really fun. Just because, they're my boys now up there. So it's just, I feel pretty close and all that. And it's just always a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Times are so different nowadays, like when you guys are talking about that. Because for me, I remember it's been a long time since I was in school. But I remember being a freshman and having to go for the first time away to school, which I went a lot farther. I went down to Virginia.
Oh, wow.
So the distance was a little crazy. It was definitely like a new world. But when I had to So when I went to school, I kind of picked my dorm, right? And then once I picked my dorm, you had to go online and you had to look. There were rooms that were either all the way filled or had like one bed, you know what I'm saying? And you just basically had to pick whichever. And so I didn't know who I was going to be rooming with. I remember the dorm that I had picked at the time. I picked the place because it was right next to, there was a basketball court right outside the dorm.
That's sick.
So that's why I picked it. But I didn't know who my roommate was going to be. I've never met him in my life. Once I joined the room or picked my room, then I got his email, and that's how, we didn't have, I think phones were still pretty old back then too. So a lot of the contact that we had was just straight through email, trying to figure out who was going to bring what, you know what I'm saying, the whole move-in process and whatnot. But I remember, super nice guy, I will say. I mean, but when I got there, we had met, we unpacked everything, and literally within the next night, we ended up switching. Switching rooms. So you guys are lucky that you were able to gel or know or meet. You know what I'm saying? Your guys' roommates. That's super important.
Sorry about that though. So again, freshman year happens. We live together, whatever. It's 4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Back last year, we signed a lease on the apartment that we have now. So we all move in August, and then one of the guys dropped out and left. So we have a quad, and that's not okay to have like an empty room for this place. So they emailed us that day, and they were like, "Okay, you're getting a new roommate. Here's his name." So this was the first time like I didn't know who I was going to be living with, and it ended up being this grad student from Ghana, who like this is like one of his first times in America. Just moves in with us. Like he just opened the door. I was just like cooking up some grub. And he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm your new roommate." And he's like one of the nicest guys I know. I love him, but it was just random. It was a new experience not knowing who I was going to be living with and sharing a space with, but it all worked out.
A little weird, right?
Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
Obe.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Obe.
I had a similar experience, kind of. I almost had an experience where I didn't know who I was going to be rooming with. So I went in with Matt, who I graduated with from high school. So I knew him well. We were friends in the beginning of high school, and so I knew him. And we went through the semester, went on winter break, all's normal, and then out of nowhere, like a week or two before, I think it was like a week and a half, I got a text from him. He was like, "Yo, I'm transferring." Or no, he called me. He didn't text me. He called me, and he's like, "Yo, I'm transferring. This and that. I'm moving out. Whatever." And he was nice. He left a bunch of stuff in my room, like a lot of his old stuff, like the rug and stuff. He left for me to keep because he didn't want to bring it back. But there was like a week where I was like bugging, trying to find someone that I knew, and I knew a good amount of people, but they all had roommates already,
right? And
I didn't want to bunk in a third, so like I was like freaking out, and then I reached out to my neighbor at the time, Chris. He didn't really like his roommate that much, so I texted him. I was like, "Yo, you just want to move in with me?" He said, "Yeah," and I'm still his roommate.
Yeah, that's cool. When I was in school, the first dorm that I lived in, and I just mentioned that I had switched rooms, right? But what had happened was the person that was directly across from me in my dorm room, kind of like how you had mentioned, babe, with Chris, was a friend that ended up then becoming my roommate, and then we ended up living together for years, off campus, on campus, and he was a really that was a great relationship, Shout out to Sam. But let's move on real quick. Let me ask you guys, what's your most embarrassing experience that's happened so far in your college career?
You can go first again.
I don't really know. Like, I feel like I do a really good job at not embarrassing myself. I mean,
Yeah, I would agree as myself too.
I mean, the only thing I could really think of is like times that I got drunk and like went out. Obviously, I didn't go out far, but like went out around campus or went out like to the game or whatever. Like, I guess there was a degree of me that was kind of embarrassed, like when I went to the game because I was pretty, pretty intoxicated. So, I guess that was like there was part of that was like embarrassing, but.
What about you, James? You think, can you recall anything or a time that you may have been a little embarrassed or had an embarrassing moment? I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, luckily, nothing too bad. I feel like that's yet to come. I mean, I don't really like drinking, so like, I just prefer to just chill in my room with my friends and stuff and just hang out. So I haven't done anything like stupid drunk.
Right on.
But I can't think of anything else. I mean, I've been like late to class for stupid reasons before, which is like on important days too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always embarrassing, but nothing crazy that I can think of.
All right, well then let me ask you guys. This is kind of like a two-parted question because I understand if you don't want to answer the first one, but what's the wildest party that you've attended so far or heard about? Or if you don't really want to, if you feel a little uncomfortable about answering that question, give me what's one of the craziest events that you've attended then at school thus far? Doesn't have to be a party.
Yeah, no, I don't really have any parties. I don't really go to parties.
Yeah,
I don't really party much. Like, I don't really drink much either. But like,
this is good.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Just letting our listeners know.
Yeah. So like, I don't really have any party. Okay, I've heard of parties, like stories that happened at parties, and I'm not gonna state them for other people's sake.
Me as well.
Yeah, crazy things happen at keggers. I don't know if you guys if that happens at your school. Or,
it does.
What about you, James? Crazy party, crazy event?
Nah, like Baylee said, like I don't really go out and party that much. That's not my idea of fun. Like I said, I'd rather just chill. But I have heard some things, and I'm gonna leave that to myself. And like my roommates, they like going out and stuff, and I've heard the stories from them.
Cool.
And it gets pretty crazy, but I'll leave that between us.
Well, it's good that you guys, seem you guys got your heads on right, and you're not out there doing stupid shit. Let me ask you then, real quick, if you guys could change one thing about college, about the whole college experience so far, what would it be?
The cost.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the cost, but like, so I'm a history education major, and I'm going into teaching, and from what I've seen, everything that I've learned in my classes, I really don't see professors doing that much when it comes to education. Like, they're really kind of not good, and I get like they're professionals in their field, and they're teachers, but they're not like teachers, like they're not teaching like kids. But like, I feel like one big major thing that I think colleges should change is they should require professors to have at least a minor in education. It's not a lot of credits. You could do it in one semester. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure like the school would provide it. Like, you could probably do it at that school. Like, you can probably just get your education minor, like for instance at Siena, and then teach at Siena. Like, but like, at least so you have some background knowledge on how to actually teach. Because I swear, like, I've had good professors, but some of these professors really don't know how to teach. They're like the most awkward people. They're smart, very smart, but they're the most awkward people, and it's so hard to work with them.
Yeah, I experienced the same thing. I'm a software engineering major, so I'm not going to name names, but I had one professor who was like, oh yeah, I've had 50 years of experience in industry. I've done this, but they can't teach. So I'm in a lecture for 2 hours and they're just reading off the slides and then they're like, okay, go do this. And then since they just read off the slides and didn't really explain anything, it's just hell. And it really sucks. So that is also a really good point that a teacher should have some background in teaching. I think that's a pretty fair thing to want.
Yeah, we've all had some bad teachers in the past, and I think we've all learned, and you guys will learn as you guys get older too and go through it. The best teachers are the ones that you guys remember the most, are the ones that were able to relate with you, show an effort, and build, like a relationship with their students, or with whatever they're talking about, the subject. You'll be able to see that they actually care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had one professor this semester, actually. I think, like, college and high school might have been the best, like, teacher professor I've ever had. He's an older dude, and, like, he worked in industry forever. Like, that's what he did all his life, and then recently started teaching. But the way he wanted to do the class, and there's multiple sections, so each professor can kind of do what they want as long as they stick to, like, a certain guideline. But what we were doing was, for the whole semester, we were building this software project from the ground up. And instead of, like, giving us slides and stuff and, like, teaching us how to do it, his approach was he was going to build it alongside of us. And then we would all compare. Like, there was one end goal, and there's a lot of different ways to get there. So his whole approach was building it alongside of us the way he thought, and then comparing it to how we would do it. And it really, we all, like, learned a lot. Like, even he learned some more too. So it was just a really cool experience to see how he taught the class.
Yeah, absolutely. He learned how to relate with you guys, man. Shout out to that man.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else that you want to add about your college days, your college career so far?
No. I mean, like, I miss being at home. That's like the biggest thing when I'm away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's always good to be home. Like, as much as living alone is fun and all that, but I always miss home.
Yeah.
I remember the feeling. I mean, I loved being away, and like I said, I went down to Virginia, so it wasn't like I was coming home on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? So I would always love the times when we had the breaks. You always feel excited and happy, to be able to go back home. And once you're home for a little bit, it's good, but then, sometimes you're ready to get back at it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little more about what the Whatnot podcast is known for, and that's their sports, music, and video games. So make sure you come back with us right here on the It's All Relative podcast.
I'm in the game now, shit's the same now. Explode next mode, I'm the same how. Don't say you know me, just say you did. When you see me sliding off to another crib, boom, in the game now, I'm the same how. The rap game will never be the same now. Don't say you know me, just say you did. When you hear YO, say that's that shit.
Welcome back to It's All Relative. Still with me in studio, James McGuire and Baylee Forrest. Real quick before we move on, I got one more question for you guys involving, your college days that that you guys are going through right now. I want to hear from each of you. What's the end goal? What's the goal here?
Oh, the end goal after we graduate?
Yeah.
In a perfect world, there's kind of two routes I want to go down. One of them is just, like, get a nice job coding somewhere at like a corporation or even a small business. Doesn't matter to me. But, that would be the dream, ideally. Or maybe on the side, have my own, like, consulting firm where I can get contracted out so I have some money on the side. But yeah, I think the end goal is just to use what I learned in college and apply it in the real world.
Good for you. What about you, Bay?
Definitely teaching. I mean, obviously that's not the only thing I can do with it, but obviously stay in New York. I want to, either high school or middle school. Those are my degrees for. I'm leaning more towards middle school, from like the experiences I've had with my like field work and stuff. But yeah, hopefully work there. I'm not a big fan of like rural school settings. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty suburban area, so like obviously I went to a suburban school, but like I did my middle school placement at a school in downtown Schenectady, and
How was that?
I fell in love with it. Like the inner city schools, like those kids, I love those kids. Like it's great. So like I actually kind of might want to look for something which a lot of teachers don't like. Mm-hmm. They like having the more suburban area, because the inner city schools are a little more hectic, a little more rowdy, a little more crazy. But I like that, and I like I like the kids more overall as of right now. Again, I'm only a sophomore, but hopefully middle school, somewhat inner city, something like that. That'd be pretty dope.
That's good. That would be that's a good fit, right? All right, let's move on. Now, the Whatnot podcast heavily focuses on 3 forms of art that most people are into. And if not all, then guaranteed at least one. And that's at all age levels. And those are sports, music, and video games. So, James and Bay, I got a few questions for you guys to help my listeners get a little better of an understanding of the two of you.
Sure.
So let's go down some of the basics here. I'll go. We'll take turns real quick. List off your favorites. Let's go with the basics. James, we'll start with you. What's your favorite basketball team?
Miami Heat.
What's your favorite football team?
Dallas Cowboys.
What's your favorite hockey team?
New York Rangers.
And what's your favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
All right. And what about you, Bay? Basketball team.
Miami Heat.
Football team.
Giants.
Hockey team.
Rangers.
And baseball.
Yanks.
Okay.
Pretty similar.
Yes, that was pretty similar. All right, so let's move on now. Favorite athlete of all time and why?
Oof.
Who wants to go first?
Favorite athlete of all time. Do you know yours?
No. That's hard.
That's
really.
There's a lot of sports.
Because that's not just comparing like players. That's comparing sports too.
Yeah.
So then, instead of all time, give me one of your favorite athletes.
One of, definitely Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay, and why so?
One of the greatest big men to ever play the game. So that he's got that, but also I love his personality, and I love everything that he's done off court. He just does everything. Like he's on the TNT crew. He's a DJ. He does great stuff for charity and stuff. So overall, I just think he's a really good dude, and he's really entertaining and all that. So he's definitely up there for me.
He plays in movies.
Yeah, that's it. He just does it all.
At one point in time, I don't know if he still is, but he was actually like a sheriff or some kind of cop or whatever in like some town.
It's a cool dude.
Yeah. You mentioned the TNT crew. He is part of the greatest basketball broadcasting team. What about you, Bay? Give me one of your favorite athletes and why.
Kobe's really grown on me. Like, I've always liked Kobe.
Yeah.
But with him dying and me growing up and really starting to, when I was younger, Kobe this, Kobe that, whatever. But, like, now I'm really starting to, like, as I grow and have experiences, understand that Mamba mentality. Really understand, that dude's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he's good. Like,
yeah.
The work that he put in, the stories that you hear about him. He's definitely up there for me, especially for basketball. Besides him, probably Dwayne Wade, because I'm a Heat fan. So, being probably, I would argue, the best Miami Heat player of all time, easily. So
I would say Kobe has, like, just across all sports, not even just basketball, but every sport, I think Kobe has, like, the best mentality, like, when it comes to the game. Like, I think he just always gave it 110%, always put in the work off the court, and it really showed up in his game and off the court, too.
Absolutely. Definitely a role model. Do you guys remember or where you guys, like, where you were at or what you were doing when the news broke about the incident with Kobe?
Yeah, weren't we staying after?
Yeah.
I think we were staying after because we were in jazz band together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at like 5 or 6:30. So we just stay after school and hang out. And we got the notification. I didn't believe it at first.
Oh yeah, neither did I.
There's no way Kobe Bryant's dead. And then I got another notification from a different app, and I was like, oh my god, like that's when it like really started to hit. And it was, I didn't want to believe it, but it's just really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the feelings that people felt was even though you didn't know him personally, you still felt like you knew him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
All right, let's move on to give me one of your guys' greatest sports moments that you've seen in your lifetime and why.
Ooh. You can go first if you have one.
Definitely. Well, for me personally, that Ray Allen 3-pointer, and that was insane. But like
When he was on Miami.
yeah, when he was on Miami,
yeah.
yeah. That was huge. But I guess like I don't know.
I'm not a Patriots fan, obviously, but when in Super Bowl against the Falcons, when they came back, like, that had me standing up, like, the whole game. It was insane.
You know, actually, I'm going to change mine. That Luka game.
Oh, yeah.
That Luka game against the Knicks. Sorry, Josh, but that Luka game against the Knicks, like, you know, pulling the Tracy McGrady, first of all.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, scoring, 51-point triple-double?
Something like that.
Yeah, like, that was the most insane game I've ever seen in person. Like, bro went on a tear.
Yeah, but then you also have Donovan Mitchell dropping 71, like, a few weeks after.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
All right. James, did you give me one of yours?
Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That was an incredible comeback. Referring back to what
Yeah.
you said, James.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of, like, that was just off the top of my head. There's so many, like, crazy moments in sports that...
Oh, absolutely, and that's why it was whatever you guys, you know, whatever the best one to you guys. Because like I think about that all the time. There's tons of different ones. You know what I'm saying? But all right, let me ask you both. If you could have a conversation with one athlete, dead or alive, who would it be?
About sports or just in general, just to converse?
Just a conversation.
That's also a hard question.
Yeah, I kind of have two answers.
Go ahead.
My number one is Kobe, obviously. Number two is Shaq, which is like they're totally opposite. Like Kobe would be like a serious, you know, conversation about life and this and that, and then Shaq would just be. I feel like that would just be a fun conversation to have.
Yeah,
with someone.
I would like. I think I would love to be in the room like with the TNT crew, and just like sit on the panel with them, like not to be recorded or anything, just to talk with like Shaq, Charles Barkley, and all of them. I think that would just be like a great time, just because it would just be so entertaining. They're so fun to watch.
That's cool. I don't want to get too. I don't know how in depth I should get, but I can say and I can show you when we're done with the show. But I've had a conversation, and I have it saved, with myself and one of the members from the TNT crew.
Really?
Yeah, about something, you know, through social media and whatnot. But yeah, it was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's shift over to music, an art form that the entire world relates to in some way. Give me one of your guys' what's your favorite musician or artist and why?
My favorite group of all time has got to be the Foo Fighters. For those of you that don't know, they're pretty famous, but they're a post-grunge group. The frontman for them is Dave Grohl, who was the drummer of Nirvana. They make great music. I love their music. And B, they're just really good people in general. Like, they do a lot for the community. And especially this year, they actually lost their drummer, Taylor Hawkins. And, like, the response, like, everything they do from now on is, like, for him. Like, they want him to live on through their music, which I really like. But they're just great people. I got to see them live a few years ago. They sold out Madison Square Garden, and that was an incredible show. But yeah, they're so good. They make great music, great people.
You remember the first time ever hearing them?
Yeah, actually, my favorite song of all time is Everlong.
Okay.
And I forget where I was, but I was like just in a really good mood. And it was at night. I was just driving, or I wasn't driving. It was before I learned how to drive. But it was just like the cherry on top for the night. And I think the lyrics mean a lot, and I like the lyrics of the song, like
Nice.
from a personal level.
Right. So when you hear that song, does it take you back?
Oh,
to
yeah.
that first time.
For sure.
I have actually over there. I have that CD.
Oh yeah.
Sold. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my listeners, I'm pretty sure that they all know and are familiar with the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
What about you, Bay? Favorite musician or artist and why?
Mine's probably gonna have to be Blink-182.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't listened to them recently, like that much. But like, I don't know. Ever since I was like young, like I could just remember like turning them on like consistently throughout my life, and like different songs relate more to me now than they did before, and other songs back then related more. And it also goes with like, I guess, like when they grew up too, because as they were growing up, as they were making the music, still they were in their early 20s. So, you know, growing up with their music and listening and relating to different things is pretty big. You put me onto them, Josh, because you had them. You had a lot of their stuff, and I'd listen to that.
Yeah.
Yep. They were always one of my favorites as well. All right, so let's go down the list real quick then. James, give me two of your favorite songs. You already said Everlong, so give me two others.
Two others. Just off the top of my head, January 28th, J. Cole.
Okay.
That's such a good song. And then what's another good song? Oh, one I've been listening on repeat would be World Domination by Joey Badass, because the beat in that song is so good.
Right on. Now, I mean, him, I'm sure a lot of my listeners don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who he is either. But, all right, what about you, Bay? Two of your favorite songs.
Definitely one of them that I've listened to for a while is Black Boys on Mopeds by Chevelle. That's a very good song. My second one, I'd probably have to go with probably Orange Soda by B.B. Keem. Which is like, it's not my favorite for like any particular reason. I just like really like that song.
Right on. Both of those probably my listeners also are not too familiar with them either. But all right, let me ask you both. Give me an album that you could listen to completely through with no skips.
Shit. I gotta get the name of it. There's like the idea of like a perfect album, I feel like is really hard to come across. 'Cause there's,
It
you
is.
know, you listen to an album, there's always like that one song that you have to skip. But there's one album by The Strokes. It's actually, I think, their newest album they put out a few years ago. The New Abnormal. It's
Okay.
really good. also from J. Cole 2014 Forest Hills Drive. I could listen to that on repeat. Oh my god, repeat. Jesus.
Nice. What about you, Bay?
Well, one that came out last year, 2000 by Joey Badass.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a good album. I can't find a song on it that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really rare. You know, like you said, like there's always that one song or a couple songs that's like, oh, you know, like you're having such a good time listening to it, and you're like, oh,
that song comes on.
But I haven't run into that with 2000 by Joey Badass. But a second one would, I guess, just be the Blink-182 like greatest hits album.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's their greatest hits.
Same with Foo Fighters. Most greatest hits are pretty good.
But I mean, if we're talking, I guess, specific albums by Blink-182, I like "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket." That's a good one.
Classic album.
Yeah.
Funny title. All right. So let me ask you guys, best live performance that you guys have seen.
Definitely the Foo Fighters performance. Oh my god, they played for so long. They opened up with All My Life, and it was just like a single spotlight on Dave Grohl just going on the guitar. It was great. And then for the encore, they played Everlong, which was just like a spiritual experience to see that live.
That's awesome. The connection with that music has with people is unreal. You also mentioned, you said Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So
that's just an
a historical
venue.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Bay?
Probably the Zac Brown Band. I saw them live like 2 years ago with my girlfriend. I took her because we both like the Zac Brown Band. So that was pretty sick. Hearing like Chicken Fried, which is like a song I've heard since I can remember. Hearing that song live and everything was really dope. And it was at Woodstock too.
That's
so
cool.
It's such a cool venue. So.
All right. Give me one concert that you guys wish you could have seen live.
I think like the original Woodstock, like the '69 Woodstock. I think everybody would want to be alive to see that.
Okay.
But even like '99 Woodstock seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to be there for the carnage and stuff, but for the artists and stuff, that would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with one of those Woodstocks.
Yeah.
There was that Blink-182 concert with Lil Wayne that we talked about going to a while ago. That was up in Saratoga.
I actually remember that now.
Yeah, because I
that
think
was pretty. That would have been really cool.
I think me and you talked about it because you were like thinking about possibly going.
Yeah, that would have been a really cool one to see.
It was such a weird collab.
Blink-182 and what?
Lil Wayne.
Really?
Yeah, they made a song together too. Well, it was more like a remake of a song with Lil Wayne, but yeah.
Huh.
I'm actually quite glad that you guys kind of mentioned or brought up Woodstock 99. Excuse me, because that would be the one concert that I wish that I could have attended. They do have there is a doc on Netflix about Woodstock 99. Have you guys seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I heard they did something about it.
I would recommend that you both watch it. So Woodstock 99 to me was so huge because I was a young kid at this time, and I remember watching like when everything was unfolding and watching how it was, and I wish I was there because at that age, music was a lot different back then, and around 99, I guess like the heavy metal or the heavy rock stuff was really big, and everybody liked that. And it's a historical thing. If you guys watch the doc, they take a huge part of it and talk about this. But back then I was a huge Korn fan.
Oh, yeah.
And they had one of the most amazing performances, and they show in the doc how amazing, like, it's just when they came on the stage and when they started playing, like the wave of people. It was amazing. And like I just remember watching all that. It takes me back though too when I watch that doc. I just remember when all that had unfolded and wishing that I could be there. I was still too young, obviously, to go. I'm trying to think. 99. I think I was in 8th grade.
Oh, okay,
maybe.
Yeah. That's pretty young.
Yeah, because 2000, I think, was when I started high school. So, but I just remember the bands that were there. There were so many, like all my favorite bands at the time. Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine. A lot of bands that I still listen to every once in a while. But no, that time, that concert, even though it ended crazy and they burnt that place down to the ground, it still would have been an amazing experience to be a part of. But I highly recommend that doc for anyone who hasn't seen it, and then you would definitely see what I'm talking about when they get to the whole corn part. But let's quickly move on to video games, a subject that affects all of us during our lives at some point. You guys are at the age where video games are life, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember when I was in college and when I lived in dorms, video games were a huge part of everyday life. Hours of time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Too much time.
So
Sometimes.
let me ask you guys, talk to me, talk to my listeners. What games are you both into currently?
Currently, we're kind of all over the place, honestly. We both recently got VR headsets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a whole new medium that we play through, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, so we got the VRs, we got our Xboxes, and we've been playing some PC games too. So like Valorant is like a big one.
2K.
Yeah, 2K. 2K's huge. I love 2K.
Yeah.
Overwatch, Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
On the Oculus, Beat Saber.
Yeah. There's like, it's kind of crazy on the VR. I haven't downloaded on mine yet, but on your old one, there's like a milsim game where you're like dropped into like Iraq with like a loadout, and then you just have to like clear everybody out. Mm-hmm. And that's like terrifying because you're so immersed, and then, it's nighttime, you got your fucking night vision,
mm-hmm.
and you just go in all stealthy. And like, we were playing, I think I was playing, you were watching me, and like, it's dead silent, and I just hear like a gunshot, and I hit the floor. Like, I got down so fast. But it's
so
just
realistic, right?
Yeah, it's too immersive. It's kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. So in both your opinions, and remember, this is just an opinion, but what's the greatest game ever made?
Greatest game ever made, I think. I mean, Black Ops 2 is definitely up there for the nostalgia.
For sure. That's not my favorite, but I would say overall, like influence-wise and all that, like Black Ops 2, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I think my personal favorite is probably Battlefield 1, because I just sunk so many hours into that game. And it's just like, yeah, it's a shooter, it's World War I, but it's also like so cinematic and stuff. Like anything can happen. It's so like sandboxy. What about you?
I would say Rocket League.
Oh yeah.
I have put so many hours in the Rocket League, and for anyone who doesn't know, I'm on the esports team for 2 games for my school. I play Rocket League and Overwatch, and I'm good at Overwatch, but like Rocket League, I've been playing since it came out consistently, and that's had a massive impact on me. And it's such a unique game that like I can find myself playing it just for like hours on end, even though they're 5-minute matches. I can play all day long, get my mechanics better and stuff, and it's just such a good game.
We will cover a little more of that, Bay. I will ask you and want you to expand a little more on that shortly. So let's move on real quick. In your guys' opinion, what's the best franchise games? Some examples for me. I mean, I know there's tons of them, but like I said, it's your guys' opinion. But a group of or a series of games, more than one, Some examples: Halo, Call of Duty,
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow Six, 2K, Grand Theft Auto, etc., etc. What's the best one in your guys' opinion?
There's a lot of really good series. I mean, like you said, Grand Theft Auto, that's such a good series.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as shooters, I would probably lean more towards Battlefield than Call of Duty, just because I like more like strategy over like arcadey. 2K, I think is my favorite sports franchise. Maybe Madden, but like not really recently.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say FIFA, but I just like recently got into that. But I think definitely 2K and Battlefield are my top two.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I would say overall 2K is my favorite. I've bought every 2K since 2K13.
Right.
I was younger when that came out, so like I've been on top of that. 2K, I like Call of Duty, but it's definitely not my favorite type of game. I'm not really like a first person shooter. I'm not like big into that. So I'm gonna just stick with 2K.
Okay, good call. I mean, I'm a huge fan of 2K, always. James, let me ask you though, real quick. What do you prefer playing more? A lot of your games that you had mentioned are a lot of the shooting and whatnot. Are you like those more? You like games with like more of a story? You like the sports?
Well, that's a hard question. I love shooters. I love like a good FPS shooter game.
Okay.
But I like when there's like a lot of like teamwork, like Overwatch or Rainbow Six, because like it's not like you'd have that one guy that just kills everybody and that's that. Like you all have to work as a team,
Right.
as opposed to having that one standout guy. Forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, for like story games, I think compared to Baylee, I like a single player story game a lot more. Like Elden Ring that just came out last year. I played the shit out of that. It's just such a cool setting, like fantasy, medieval, whatever. It's just crazy. And then especially like the Assassin's Creed series too. I forgot to mention that. That probably is also one of my favorite series. But yeah, it's just cool to follow a storyline and be the main character.
For people who haven't kept up, Elden Ring is it's an offshoot of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
So if you guys have played Dark Souls, it's
a Dark Souls game.
Yeah, it's Dark Souls game. Same people.
The best Dark Souls game, in my opinion.
All right. If you guys could only use or play one system that's ever been created from here on out, what would it be?
Xbox.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Sorry, PC. I'm taking it back. I don't have a good PC. I have a laptop, but I would buy a PC and play on that because you can play any game on a PC.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess having a really good PC would be the best option, but like based on what I have, Xbox for sure.
Yeah, based on what I have, Xbox too. Yeah.
All right. Is there any game that's coming out that people should be excited for, on the watch?
Yeah.
There's an open world Star Wars game coming out.
Yeah.
And so there's actually 2 Star Wars games coming out. There's the sequel to The Fallen Order, right?
Which is a first-person story game.
Yeah, it's a story type of game. But this one is, I don't know the name of it. I don't think there is a name. It just leaks.
I think it's like Galaxy's Edge or something. We don't know the name. It's just leaked.
Yeah, it was just leaked info. But it's just this open world Star Wars game. You're in the Star Wars universe. I believe it's like infinitely generated like space, so you can just keep going. I mean, just playing playing a open world like Star Wars game would be so sick. And like all the Star Wars games are like good. Like Battlefront's good. Fallen Order is amazing. I'm sure this next Fallen Order is gonna be great. But like being able to like do what
Open
you
world.
want specifically in a Star Wars game in that universe is so fire.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
So you agree, James, that one? Anything else?
I'm like drawing a blank on I think they're creating also an open world Avatar game, like the movie that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're making an open world Avatar game, which would be sick. And I think they're also making an open world Lord of the Rings game.
Yeah, that's been the talks. I don't know. I heard something about them maybe pulling pulling out of that project, but I'm not entirely sure.
That would
Making those open world type of games, it takes a lot.
Well, yeah.
So a lot more than a lot of games, a lot of other types of games. So these type of games that they come out, there's a bunch of leaks, and sometimes they flop. It's pretty common that they flop.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap it up, Bay, you had mentioned, but I want to kind of touch on it again. You're involved with something in school that when I went was never even heard or even an option. So you want to talk to us about kind of what you're involved in, some of the experiences you've had while being able to, to rep your school while playing video games.
Yeah. So we have a program that started, I believe, 5 years ago, and the main 3 games is Overwatch, Rocket League, and Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo. So I'm on the Rocket League and the Overwatch team, and there's a lot of the teams. We have like Valorant, CS:GO, League of Legends. We're making a Call of Duty team. We're expanding, and we play in all these different leagues. But Siena is part of the MAC conference, which is Division I. Schools that people know, especially listeners, you might know. One of our rivals is Marist, and I've played video games against Marist a number of times. But so when I play Rocket League and Overwatch, we're playing like those are like the important games, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the ones that are in the division. Like the other games are just random like leagues around the country. They still play colleges. Like I played Delaware. I've played schools in Texas, Utah. I've played schools in almost every state up to now. But being able to play video games, something that you do for fun, and then actually make it make it like a legitimate priority to like get better and stuff is so sick.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, the basketball team goes down. The MAC championship, our divisional championship, is down in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So the esports team, our finals happen to be down there too in the same week, the same weekend, same time. So we go down with the basketball team, and we have our own venue. It's like a little like arena thing, and like playing esports in person is like sick. It's paid for. You get food money. You don't have to worry about anything. The school covers all that. So that's pretty sick. We can also watch the games in person.
That's cool.
Yeah. So being down there with like all the basketball stuff going on, and I love basketball, so like being around all that is crazy. And then being able to like go from a basketball game back to my room and then play some video games, and then the next morning wake up and like, oh shit, you're playing Marist. You're playing Marist tomorrow, and then the next game, oh, you're playing Fairfield. Like it's so like interesting. And
Great experience.
Yeah, no,
right?
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome. All right, well, we're going to be wrapping it up here, but you guys got any last questions? Anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you for having us on the show. Appreciate it.
Always. Thank you both for agreeing to come on. It's all relative. I hope you guys have nothing but success in life and with your show. Let me start with you, James. You got anyone or anything that you want to plug or shout out?
If anything, I would appreciate if y'all checked out our show, the Whatnot Podcast. Right now, you could find it on Spotify and Anchor. We haven't been able to get it on Apple yet because we're having some issues. But if you like It's All Relative, definitely check out the Whatnot Podcast. Hopefully, we could find something of interest to you guys.
Nice. And what are your social media accounts in case listeners want to get at you?
You can follow me on Instagram at james.mcguire, McGuiree.
All right. And Bay, anyone or anything that you want to plug or shout out?
Just shout out to anyone who's been supportive with this whole podcast journey.
Yeah,
anyone
sure.
who's been supportive in general. The past couple, going to college has been rough. It's a really hard transition. So being able to have that, those people that are there for you is really nice. But yeah, no, please check out the show. You can find me at Instagram at Baylee.Forrest, BAYLEE.FORREST. And you can find us you can find the podcast. We have socials there too. We've got a Twitter, Instagram, just Whatnot Podcast. So,
Yep.
Yeah, right on. Anyone that's interested and wants to get into listening to a new show, check their show out. Remember, it's the Whatnot Podcast. Everyone likes sports, video games, and music, so support them. Continue to follow them, and check their show out. But you guys could always find me at Josh_Toth3. That's my Instagram, and my Facebook is Joshua Toth. Big shout out to Stellar Sound and Media and our editor, Jackson Wallace. And please remember, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode when they drop. And you can subscribe and follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and Google. Lastly, if you're using Apple, please leave a rating and a quick review on the Apple page. It helps the show out. It helps me out. And I'd greatly appreciate some more reviews and ratings. All right, that's a wrap. Bay, James, thanks again.
Of course.
All right, everyone, stay safe, stay kind, stay proud and powerful, and we'll see everyone soon. Peace.